Hey, Brennan.
Hello, Brad. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Yourself?
I am absolutely fantastic. It's great to be talking to you, especially as a Blackburn Rovers fan, I'll be honest.
Ah, nice one. Because
So, my
because
first
of Duck.
question will be regarding Blackburn, if that's all right.
Yeah, no problem.
So, you're obviously beloved by fans, myself included. How was your time there?
Just truly remarkable. I grew up a Liverpool supporter, and I was at Liverpool. That I needed to move, but you never want to leave from a club like Liverpool. I had other Premier League clubs that were interested in me, and Liverpool were blocking the moves to other Premier League clubs. So it came down to them agreeing to either Benfica or Blackburn, and Benfica they were weary of because they had some financial trouble. So they were worried about the transfer fee payment coming in. So Graham, who I'd played for at Galatasaray, came in, and he was the one at the time that sort of sealed the deal for me because it wasn't. It wasn't normal back then for someone like my age, going from Liverpool into the championship. But Blackburn it wasn't a normal championship club. Like let's face back then they just won the Premier League really uncharacteristically at relegated. I mean, always had top players back then.
Hmm.
And they were and what Graham did was really smart. Basically, if you think about it, all the players that he brought in was Premier League players, and mainly from clubs like Liverpool, Man United, like Craig Short from Everton. I came in, Stig Bjorneby came in, John Curtis from Man United, Henning Berg from Man United. So the
Yeah.
Premier League players, because it was the first, I think that was the first time that all three promoted sides stayed in the Premier League
Oh,
the
okay.
next season, Bolton, Fulham, and us.
Yeah.
Oh. When I arrived, the only thing I knew from Ewood Park was playing against Blackburn at the time. A couple times previously. And I have to say this, and if you ask, I guarantee if you ask Mark Hughes and if you ask Graham Souness, where was their favorite or best run club as manager, they'll say Blackburn during their time. When John Williams, Tom Finn, Martin uh, Goodman, Adam Pincher, and Rob Core ran the Walker Trust. That
Yeah.
Sir Jack Walker had passed away just impeccably well. And looking back on it, I mean, we always had top players.
Yeah.
It's Matt Jansen, Andy Cole. When Andy Cole left, and he was with Yorkie at the time, and then Roque Santa Cruz and Bellamy and Benny McCarthy, and we always got the next goal scorer and Damien Duff. I mean, what a player Duffer was, and two guy, and just and you can go. We always had good players, and the greatest thing about the club was the family the family environment that the board created, and I'm sure Sir Jack Walker created it initially, but the board created with the fans. We got pressure from the fans, but it was if if you just turned it around a little bit, you showed effort, and the fans were right back behind you within seconds. It was one of those situations for 8.5 years that was just really brilliant, special time in my life.
Obviously, you left, and I've read previously, was that to do with the kind of change of transfer policy, and you could kind of foresee what was coming with, as I say, they're in the championship now at the bottom. Could you see that coming?
Well, nobody could foresee a relegation and then struggling like they have in the championship to get out of it.
Yeah.
But this is what happened. So um, Aston Villa and Man City both came in for me, and their club, I mean, Man United had come in for me at one time earlier, and Arsenal had come in for me years earlier as well. Like Fulham had come in once. Like there were teams that had come in. But I had an open relationship with John Williams, and I used to ask him, are we a selling club? And all I meant by that was, so if Andy Cole leaves, if Dwight York leaves, are we going to replace him? And
Yeah.
I didn't expect us to be, break the bank on transfer fees and things of that nature. That's not what I was asking. I just wanted to make sure that we had a competitive team. Always did. No, never an issue. Go into the summers knowing I was coming back to Blackburn. Always kept multiple years of my contract at Blackburn. I don't know if you ever realized that, but I always added a year or two because I was happy.
Yeah.
I asked him when these clubs came in for me, are we a selling club? And his answer was, not only are we a selling club now, we're actually selling the club.
Right.
And I'd been around long enough by then to know that this club is not the simplest club financially to run.
Hmm.
And there were two incredible, well, there was one incredibly stable club at the time, which was Villa, and Martin O'Neill was there. And then Mark Hughes, who was obviously the manager of Blackburn and an old teammate and a friend, was at Man City.
Yeah.
And I was 37 years old, and I made as it turns out, I made the right decision. Um,
Hmm.
but I hate saying that because I love the club. Like
Yeah.
I really do. And that's what happened. It was more of a gut feeling, not I didn't think it would go the way that it did. And I still think today that if they kept Sam Allardyce and didn't fire Sam,
Yeah.
the relegation would not have happened. Or if the relegation happened, they would have come right back.
Well, that's obviously really interesting to hear, but there's something I kind of want to dig into, which is about your gut feeling. Like you played in the 1994 World Cup, or you're involved in the 1994 World Cup with America.
Mhm.
Obviously, next year it's going back. What's your gut feeling on Pochettino, and what's your gut feeling on the USA next year?
Well, I'm in a fortunate position where I get to have a little bit more than a gut feeling with Mauricio because I was with him for over a year, and I did my pro license with one of his assistant coaches. So I've known Mauricio for a while, and I know how good he is. Um, Mauricio is going to have a really good team assembled by the time the World Cup kicks off. He's one of the very best coaches out there, and his staff's one of the very best staffs. My gut feeling is that World Cups are very difficult to win. Mauricio's mentality will be to go win it. That's all he knows about. It's all he'll want to do. My gut feeling tells me that we're going to get out of the group, and then my head is going to tell me that it really depends on who we're drawn against, on how far we go.
Yeah,
It's if you're unlucky and let's just say you get drawn against Brazil, and then if you're lucky to beat Brazil, you could then be playing Germany or England, or like it's hard in World Cups. So my expectations for them is to get out of the group for sure. And then after that, let's see who they're drawn against. But one thing's going to be for sure, the team's going to be good, they're going to be prepared, they're going to be ready, and they're going to compete. That's what Mauricio will bring to the table.
and a final question, and then I'd like another wee kind of fun question with you, which is obviously Martin O'Neill came back into management. You spent several seasons with him.
Uh-huh.
What one were you surprised he came back, and how do you feel about seeing him back on the touchline?
Brilliant seeing him back on the touchline. I think, by the way, he's 73 now. It looks like he's 50. I mean, really, it's the same mannerism, same everything. And this time when I'm watching his interviews and I'm watching him on the sidelines, he looks, and I'm sure inside he's not when the game's going on, knowing Martin. He just looks incredibly relaxed for him
Yeah,
because I think because he knows it's not going to be long term. Um, but he is an incredibly intelligent man. It really and um with the I'm surprised I mean, am I surprised I think he has a great relationship with Celtic, so I guess I'm not surprised he went in to help out. But
Yeah.
he's not one that I thought would even be that guy. What a brilliant choice, seriously. But with him to go in there, he'll put a couple players on their toes. Which is what Celtic it looked like from the outside, what they needed.
Hmm.
Um, and and then his wit, his humor, his sarcasm, but then his moods. Like it's actually a brilliant appointment in the short term. It's funny. It's funny. Really good to see him on the touchline. But more importantly than that, it's really nice to see him looking like he's enjoying himself. That's the most important. He doesn't look football management stressful, and he
Yeah.
doesn't look stressed at all this time around, which is nice to see.
And then the last one is I was obviously searching. This is just because of my interest, and you mentioned Damien Duff. Like,
Yeah.
how was life playing in League of Ireland with some Pats? How was that in your early part of your career?
Well, I just trained with them actually, but I was in between clubs, and I gotten denied a work permit like for quite some time, and they didn't want to come back to America. There was no professional league, and
Yeah.
so I think my agents at the time they hooked it up so I could go and train with St. Pat's Athletic. Yeah, yeah, that was not a long time ago. That's in the archives. I mean, we were training a couple of times, like out in some park. I mean, the hardest pitches you could ever dive on. Um, but I guess all those instances make you what you are, like or what you become. So that's a blast from the past. I wasn't expecting that.
Really? No, because I find it interesting in terms of obviously because you had a few years going around struggling with your work permit. Like
Hmm.
you had obviously there was Celtic interested, Newcastle interested. Obviously, I would have said some Pats would have been interested had you been interested in staying in Ireland. It might have been better than that, to be fair. But how was that experience of being bounced around clubs in terms of looking for something?
Well, yeah, I signed a contract with Nottingham Forest first, um, and yes, Sunderland. I got knocked back with Sunderland on a work permit. Liverpool, even at one stage, we had to get it on an appeal. Celtic, the Rangers had offered me a contract as well, and we were having issues with the work permit. That's for sure. And then luckily, in 1996, Liverpool was able to secure it on appeal.
Nice. Well, look, Brad, I think my time's run out, and it's
I
been
know. I
absolute.
just saw Ali jump in.